So we're here again for our prayer class to talk about the morning prayers. It's been a couple weeks since we've discussed Tefillin, but we did go over a little bit the idea that because it says Ukshartam le'ot al yadecha, you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, vehayu letotafot beinecha, and they shall be totafot between you. Oh, thank you, Avital. Yes, I said I murmured the bracha in my brain, but I did not. It never came out. So that'll teach me for sharing my screen before saying the bracha. Let's say it together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
We discussed Tefillin. Ukshartam lo tol yadecha. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Vayu letotafot beinecha, and they shall be frontlets between your eyes. These are two separate mitzvot, right? But they're put on at the same time. And so the sequence of events, putting aside this introductory paragraph that we discussed, how the tefillin are paralleling various mitzvot, and how we make sense of the idea of being bound as sort of like controlling our yetzer, which we've already discussed. Putting that piece aside, the procedure is, first you say this bracha that says, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'haniach tefillin, and as you say that, the tefillin is on your arm already, and you tighten it after saying the bracha, because in our tradition, we follow the words of a bracha with an action, right? I think folks know this. It's words, then action. And in the strange circumstance of Shabbat, that's sort of this one seeming exception. We light candles, and then we say the bracha, as opposed to we say the bracha and then we light candles. The way we get around that is, and the reason we do that is because you can't, once you say the blessing, it is Shabbat. You're acknowledging Shabbat, so you can't light candles after that, right? So the normal sequence is you say words and then you follow with an action. If you don't, then it's called a bracha levatala, a sort of a canceled prayer or an annulled prayer or a prayer that is meaningless. So you have to follow words with action. On Shabbat, we light candles, we say the blessing, and then we cover our eyes while we're saying the blessing. So the state of our being when we light the candles is our eyes are covered. And then after the blessing is over, we look at the candles. That act of looking is halachically a mandated part of it, because the structure is you say the words and then you follow with an action. So similarly with putting tefillin on, you say the words and you follow with an action. You put the tefillin on your arm, but you don't tighten it. After you say the blessing, lahaniach tefillin, the one that's in the middle there, who commanded us to don tefillin or put on tefillin, we then tighten that strap on our arm. Okay, does everybody understand that? It sounds like no big deal, but I want us to kind of understand why we do what we do, because often we do things because we've seen it culturally, and that's how botched traditions get passed on from one generation to the next generation. That's what happens every Friday night when people are singing the Baruch Hu blessing. Because people have sung it and wanted to participate, they just kind of do it incorrectly. It's a prayer, it's a call and response. So service leader says, Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. Then the congregation is to join in. Right? I how many times have I said this and no one really grabs to it because tradition, right? Okay, so you put on the tefillin, you you put it loosely on, you say the blessing, and then you tighten the tefillin. And then after that, you wrap it around 7 times on your arm, on your forearm, right? Along here. I did this with the kids, and the kids got worried because they could see that it was tight on my arm. They thought I was losing circulation. They thought I was going to, suffocate my arm. It was really kind of cute. But I put it on the 7 times. One common pathway to doing that is to silently in your head count them out with the verse from Ashrei, from Psalm 145. Poteach et yadecha umaspia lechol chai ratzon. That is a 7-worded sentence. And so you have 7 words, and with each time you wrap around once. Okay? And then that part is done, and then you take your shel rosh, the tefillin that goes on your head, and you put it on your head, but not in the right spot necessarily. And then you say this additional prayer. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. All of that is the same, right? It's exactly the same. And then instead of saying lehaniach tefillin, to lay tefillin, you say al mitzvat tefillin. These last 3 words. So it's concerning the commandment of tefillin. And why do we say a separate blessing? Because as I said before, we have ukshartam leot al yadecha, you have the shel yad, the arm tefillah, and you have the shel rosh, the head tefillah. They're called tefillin. In Hebrew, a singular would be a tefillah. Sort of like the old conversation about hamantashen. There's hamantashen and then there's a hamantash. and Avital then rolls her eyes because we've had this conversation too many times. Then after that, without hesitation, you're generally, just like we have silence between the hand washing on a Friday night or Saturday morning and the eating of challah, right? You have 2 blessings, one after the other. Since the 2 blessings are linked to each other, we say them silently on whenever we have the challah blessing. First we wash our hands with the blessing, and then al netilat yadayim, and then we say the bread prayer. We do that also on Passover. And then so too with tefillin. These 2 tefillin prayers, even though they are 2 different mitzvot, they are most certainly linked. So between putting on the first tefillah, and the second tefillah, you're silent. You don't talk. Because the 2 are linked. And since the 2 are linked, and it's a little ambiguous, as we often have, we find in many places, whenever there's any strangeness in the flow of things, you have this sentence, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the glory of God's kingdom's name forever and ever, something along those lines, or blessed is the name. Blessed is a name. The glory of his kingdom is forever and ever. I'm saying it kind of clunky. Does anybody know where that line comes from? It's not in, I don't think it actually appears in the Torah, but the Midrash says that when Jacob was on his deathbed, his children were with him, and he said these words. I think they may have been his last words. Now I can't fully remember, but it is connected to the story of Yaakov. Okay, any questions or comments up to this point?
It's a little bit not related, but something about the Netilat Yadayim is reminding me of that too. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, probably because after you wash your hands, you say the blessing, but we say that you say the blessing and then wash your hands. So how does it work? Well, after you wash your hands, you lift your hands up. Because you have to have an action following the prayer.
So hang on, you do wash, wash, blessing, lift hands up, find a towel?
Yeah.
So
But
that's
it's
why. Oh,
but it's not so much finding the towel, it's the lifting the hands up after the blessing.
Yeah, but I mean, then you always look for the towel that says Netilat Yadayim, I guess.
see, my towel says something like lift up the hands. I never realized you're actually, this is amazing. You're actually supposed to lift up your
Yeah, I
hands.
didn't know that either.
Well,
Wow.
the word nitilah is not quite lifting. It's to take up. I mean,
It
it's
kind
kind of
of
a
so take.
It's
yeah.
the same. It's the same words that we say when we do the lulav and etrog, right?
Yes.
Natilat, lulav, or etrog. I forget.
Yeah. It doesn't translate so great in English, but it is the same word. Al netilat lulav, al netilat yadayim, and it's taking up. Whatever taking up means. It's kind of like doing the hand thing. um, let's see how they translate it. We could,
Hang on. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
no.
little blurry, but hang on. Uyedechem Kodesh. Yeah, is that what it says?
Lifted in sanctity or something?
oh, let me take off the share for a second.
I would try to read it, but
Oh,
Yeah, it
Se'u
says
Yedechem Kodesh, yeah. And it's, Se'u is like open or go along with. It's a different word. Se'u Sha'arim Rashechem. Lift up your heads.
Oh, gates or whatever. Yeah. This is the towel, by the way, that Avital and Jonathan brought me back from Moda'in. Remember you went
Oh,
to pick
yeah.
it up? Yeah. And this particular one at my shul, someone spilled and threw it on the floor. And I said, it says lift, not throw on the floor to pick up when you spill. So I took it home and washed it, and I use it now. I
no
sure will.
respect.
So crazy. All right,
Okay,
back
so
to sorry.
no, don't be sorry. It's good. I just put into. Oh, and I need to take the coffee off the burner before I burn my coffee. But in the left column, I put in the word natal, to lift or bear or bear. Yeah, bear is probably a good word. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, sorry I got distracted. In the olden days when I was living in LA, I could just dart over to the kitchen. But now, to have my coffee, I have to go clear across town. It's a hard knock life. What's so funny?
You should have seen your sister.
Was she making fun of me?
Yes, I was. You said you have to go. So oh my gosh, he has to go get his coffee from across the room.
Over the river
Oh.
of
Well,
the
you should have
woods.
said oy vey.
Oy vey, yes.
So, okay, so to take, to move, to carry off, to receive, to take. There are all these great translations. To pour over one's hands for purification. It just doesn't seem like an easy word to comprehend. And I don't know its origins. Oops. And my knowledge of... Oh, this is an online Bible. So I would love to look at this in the Brown Driver Briggs and be able to understand, the origins of this word. Not really here nor there. So you say the blessing, and then you immediately follow with Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. And okay, so now you put on the head tefillin. You have the arm tefillin, but it's not finished. So after you put the head tefillin in position, then you go back and you put the straps. You did 7 straps here, and then you bundled them, all the extra ritzua, the strap, in your hand. And now that you've finished putting on the head tefillin, they have a couple of things here for us to look at, which I think comes from Psalms as well. Umechochmatcha el elyon ta'atzil alai. And from out of your wisdom, O exalted God, or God Most High, rescue me. Or no, I guess ta'atzil is not rescue.
I think it's make me
Knowledgeable?
noble. Like I think Atzilim are noblemen.
Well, because I was thinking of atzilut.
And I think that's nobility.
Oh, we've had this conversation, I
Yes, very recently.
Yeah,
There's
we
something
did.
we looked at.
Oh, look at this. Side and apart, a hapaxagamenon in the Bible is this word, atzil. Here, a nobleman or an aristocrat, like you said.
So I think from your wisdom, you will make me noble.
Well, another way we can do it is we can look at this verse, as often happens in Psalms, as having, or I think this is Psalms, a parallel, right? Because first it says, from your wisdom, O exalted God, something upon me. And then it says, and from your understanding, right? So, ume chochmatcha, elyon da da da. And then umi binatcha, and from your understanding. So these words are linked. If I had no idea what ta'atzil means, which is kind of the truth, I might look at how these phrases are connected. Ta'atzil alai, and then tivineni. Oh, and then there's a third one too. Actually, it keeps going and going and going. So, may you impart your wisdom to me, God Most High, and give me understanding from your understanding. With your loving kindness, do great things with me. With your merit, cut off my enemies and opponents. And then we have this interesting line. Pour bountiful oil. V'shemen tov. I guess it's... No, it's this. And with good oil, it says, pour bountiful oil upon the 7 branches of the menorah, right? Al shiva k'nei ha-menorah, lahashpia tuvcha, to emanate your goodness, livriotecha, upon or to your creatures, your creations. Okay, and then you have again, Potech yedecha maspil l'chol chai ratzon. It's interesting that verse appears here because we will have already put the straps on, unless there's another tradition that I'm unaware of putting the arm tefillin on only after you place it on your arm, right? But that would be, I've never seen it done that way. right? Because as soon as you're done putting the tefillin box on, you tighten it, and then you do the 7 around your arm.
But I think it's potech yadecha, so you open your hand. So I think it doesn't affect. I mean, you said at some point you hold the straps, but you're able to open your hand. At least they're talking about God opening his hands. I mean, not us necessarily.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. So I think the use of the 7-worded verse is only for the sake of counting straps around the arm. But here it seems to be appearing in the liturgy to talk basically about shefa, right? Open your hand and provide, sustain us all life according to your will. In other words, God, you have all this. Open it up to us. Bring it to us, which is the same as shefa. Although it's kind of interesting, lahashbia and masbia, they kind of have some similar appearance, and these two words, this one and this one, being put next to each other.
Getting back to the saying Ashrei while rapping 7 times, is there a prohibition against, how we're not supposed to count for a minyan, and some people use a verse or a psalm that has 10 words in it, so you don't count people.
Right.
Is there a problem with counting rapping too, or is there? I mean, do we just not count things, or is that just a mnemonic or a trick for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a mnemonic and a way to honor God. I don't think there's a problem with counting in Hebrew. We have counting, although it's actually, now that you say that, it's kind of interesting because when you have the Passover Seder, there's a point during the Seder Yachatz where you break the matzah in 2 pieces. One becomes afikomen, the other is eaten later in the preparation for the meal, for the korach, the Hillel sandwiches. When you do that, you count your matzot, Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. There is a counting with 3 words that are not achat, shtaim, shalosh. So, I don't know, that's probably something to explore. I mean, I think there is something in the tradition about not wanting, I'm saying there seems to be something in the tradition suggesting that you don't count, but rather you think of Torah verses instead. I don't know when that practice began, but there's a lot of stuff that we think of as being part of the tradition, but the traditions change. So for instance, when you write out numbers in Hebrew, Aleph is 1, Bet is 2, Gimel is 3, right? Yud Aleph is 11, Yud Bet is 12, Yud Gimel is 13, Yud Dalet is 14. You would think I'm just going to keep going this way. Then when you get to Yud Hey, you don't do Yud Hey, you do Tet, what do you do?
Tet Vav.
Tet Vav. Right, you do
9
Tet
and
Vav.
6. Yeah.
Right, you do 2, right, which is 15 instead of doing Yud Hey. And you would think that that's the tradition because you don't want to say God's name, you don't want to write out Yud Hey. Right? And similarly with Yud Vav, because those 2 letters are part of the Hebrew name for God, the Tetragrammaton, Yud and Vav. So instead of Yud Vav, you do Tet Zion. Right? So 16 is Tet Zion, not Yud Vav. You understand that? And you would what's that?
Oh, I was just going to say that. So, and this has moved into modern Israel. These ancient ways of counting are still currently.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to say. It's not as ancient as you think, because if you go back to probably even the Dead Sea Scrolls would have it this way. They didn't do that. They did Yud. They did Tet Vav, and they did Yud Hey and Yud Vav. So, yes, Pamela.
Well, I just used AI to look this up. And it's not things that are discouraged to be counted, but it is people that is
Well,
discouraged
yeah,
to be
Right.
like the
counted.
half
That's
shekel
what we
thing.
Right,
Yeah.
thought. Yeah.
right, right. So it's, and I thought maybe it would say on Shabbat, but it's all the time as far as people go.
Yeah, so that's why when you count a minion, you say "Va'ani barov chastecha vo beitecha eshtachaveh elecha." I mean, that's one of the options. There's others. That's the one I always remember.
Not one, not two.
Yeah, I think that's the most silly of all. Not one, not two. So, anyway, but let's look at what the content here is. You just put on tefillin. We talked about how the tefillin are about mitzvot. They're also about controlling one's inclination. And this follow-up paragraph says, I want to learn your mitzvot, right? I want you to impart your wisdom upon me, right? And give me understanding. And in the midst of all of that, I want you to give me all sorts of strengths. Do great things to me, right? We need to find that. Oh, tagdil alai. Make me great with your kindness.
I don't know if it's make me great or make things great upon me. I mean, I don't think it's a first person make me great. Just make things great for me, I think. Make
I
a
guess you're
lie
right.
upon
I
me.
guess I think
Yeah.
it might be a distinction without a lot of difference because when things are great for me, I am made great.
No, I don't think so. I think
You
it's
don't think
just like
so?
give me essentially, please give me good things. Bless me with good things. I don't think it's a ego thing. Like, don't make me,
Oh, I
all
didn't read it
that.
that way.
Oh, okay. That
I
is the
meant it
way I
more as
read it.
like
Make me
perfect.
great. I think I'm like, look at me, I'm great.
Oh
Uh,
no, no, no,
I
no,
think it
no.
just do things that my life will be good.
Right. I meant make me great as in like make me ana avodah de kudusha b'richu. Make me a servant of your everything, which is making me great. But I think you're right. That is a proper correction to this. So anyway, the text is emphasizing that these tefillin kind of have almost a magical quality. Is going to protect them, right? With your merit, cut off my enemies and opponents. Pour bountiful oil upon the 7 branches of the menorah in order to cause goodness to flow to your creatures. Well, I mean, that's a beautiful statement. And again, another example of this emanation. Open your hand and fulfill the will of every living being or living thing. Okay? And then, let me erase all this. And then, of course, V'achar kach korecha ritzua shel yad al etzba'o. You put the last elements of the tefillin on your left hand or on your hand, and then you say the following words as you do it. And this to me is a highlight verse from the book of Hosea. Ve'erastich li leol. So in the book of Hosea, we would see a different context. But here, it's like the person putting tefillin on is getting married to God. Ve'erastich li, or actually, God is engaging in this actually. Knesset Israel, the Jewish people, are the feminine, right? And I betroth you, meaning Israel, right? Knesset Yisrael, the assembly of Israel, to me, li leolam. I betroth you, O Israel, to me forever. Ve'erastich li b'tzedek uv'mishpat uv'chesed v'rachamim. And I betroth you to me with justice and with another form of justice. I guess righteousness and justice, they say, but tzedek really is the same. It's justice. Okay? And with kindness and with compassion. These are all qualities that God is emanating to us, right? This is what the Shefa, this divine emanation, is all about. Ve'erastichli be'emunah, and I will betroth you to me with faithfulness, confidence, truth, something along those lines. Ve'yada'at et Hashem, and you will know God. So it feels like a miniature ring ceremony in the midst of the Torah, where God is placing the ring on the Jewish people. And not only that, but it uses the word yada'at. V'yada'at et Hashem, and you shall know God. And we know in the Bible, knowing, right? We have that phrase in especially the King James edition, and God and so knew so and they bore a child, right? There's even a sexual element that's implicit on some level in this verse. It's not like particularly out there in the open, but it does have an element of deep intimacy. What is intimacy from the Jewish perspective? The idea of truly knowing someone. That's the word to know. But in the Bible, that type of intimacy, that type of knowing translates into sexual intercourse. But at its root is this idea of a type of intimacy, a type of connection to another that is at a plane much higher than anything else. And then for some people, they'll say these verses that are found in the Tefillin that are not part of Ve'ahavta, but Kadeshli, right? This whole thing about the Chor Petarechem, the firstborn that emerges from the womb, right? And this has to do with the Pidyon Haben, because you're supposed to dedicate the firstborn to temple service initially, and then we have Pidyon Haben where you don't do that. But all of this is from chapter 13. It's the second two parts of the Tefillin. And that covers it. Anything else we want to say? We're over time as it is. There's the second one.
Well, I just had how long does this take? I mean, this is and you're not even davening yet. You're putting all this on, and then you start.
Well, Hakana is everything. You got to prepare. Be prepared, as Tom Lehrer says.
And how many times a day you do this?
Just once.
Oh.
You only put tefillin on once a day.
Oh, okay. And morning shop, yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people zip through this. Like, I don't know anyone who reads it closely, word for word. And if you go to a modern day shul, people seem to gloss over it. Because it's really not the essence.
When we were in the old city, when we would see people walking around wearing them.
Wearing tefillin, yeah. There's no prohibition to wearing tefillin all day. There's examples in the Talmud of people wearing tefillin all day. I think that Rav Kook wore tefillin all day. And not only that, but there's a tradition of putting on 2 pairs of tefillin. Because the first pair is according to the rules of Rabbeinu Tam, which is one of the grandsons of Rashi, and the other one is according to Rashi's tradition. I was once on an airplane flying either from LA to New York or vice versa, and a guy on the plane next to me left his bag of tefillin, and I picked them up, and his bag of tefillin had 2 sets of tefillin in them, and on the box, the box that covers the box that is the actual tefillin, one said Rashi and the other said Rabbeinu Tam.
Wow.
So it was kind of wild. And I managed to track the guy down, and I returned his tefillin. I was like, he should give me a reward, but he didn't. He was very grateful, though.
Maybe he gave you a bracha.
Right? He
Yes.
probably blessed you a lot.
Yes.
Probably so. He
But I
probably
mean,
thought it was a miracle.
wearing these all day, I mean, you cut off your circulation. That's, but I
Yeah.
guess the point is to keep from being distracted by worldliness. I guess some people need to have that on all day while others are, this is why women don't need it, because we're not distracted by worldly things.
Well, in the Hasidic world, they'll wear a belt, right? A black belt. And that's to separate the upper world from the lower world, the extremities, right? Right? And they want to, like, the head is where the brilliance is, and that lower area is almost an area of filth, and they want to separate the two out. I mean, these are all tricks to kind
You
of.
can't wear tefillin in the bathroom though.
Well, it would be kind of uncomfortable anyway. But these are all elements of trying to deal with machshavot zarot, stray thoughts or foreign thoughts. We don't want to be distracted from our highest purpose. All right.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.